if you look at us human beings as species, right? So we're the only species that when we pop out after 9 months, we need 12 years at least to understand how to operate on the planet. We're the only species that have made it so complicated for ourselves. And I think to build on that, it's really important to kind of understand that we might have evolved intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually, we haven't really. And now is the time for us to do that. So it's a good opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
Again, I did not say or think of that.
That was really smart. This morning, I'm on a call, bunch of entrepreneurs, and one of them brings up the question of AI and how does AI change business? Like, what should I be worried about? What should I be doing? How does this actually change what's going to be coming? Because I think there's also a case of like wanting to be on the forefront and not kind of like wanting to be left behind or anything like that as well.
Yeah.
Her specific question that she brought up was to do around her content and about what she should be sharing and how much she should be sharing. My current beliefs, and my current beliefs are very much formed from your great wisdom as well, is a case of, I think like the cost of information is inherently going to zero. So it's not about trying to like keep the cards to my chest about, oh, I've got this information and my competitor can't have it or others. I think it's like, let's put the best stuff out there, which is why I believe one reason why we started the AI Geeks podcast is because we go, great, give us a business problem and let's solve it on the spot and show you how to do it so then you can do it yourself and go from there. Like we're literally giving all the cards away as we go through that process.
Yeah.
So how do you think about, Ron, when it comes to information today and moving forward into the near future and how AI is affecting that?
What did she say? Like, what was the conversation when that came up? Like, what was her perspective or what was the group's perspective on information in particular when it came to AI?
Well, for her, it was a case of information is a plethora right now. I have so much at my fingertips. So therefore, the content that I share through the world, so through her podcast, through her YouTube, through her social media platform, she's like, well, how much should I be sharing? Because really all of this other information is over on here on this ChatGPT screen. And my response was, I think you should be sharing absolutely everything.
So it's really interesting. I mean, this whole idea of ownership. I mean, we never really had this idea of ownership before, right? We all belonged to the land and we all took care of each other and we kind of all had this idea of how this community was built. And then at some point, I think maybe the Anglo-Saxons sort of came around and decided that land belonged to them and the people. Maybe, I don't know whether my history is correct on that, but I felt like that narrative changed a little bit to owning things and owning land and owning ideas and owning information. But is it really ours? Like, I mean, if you genuinely think about it, is it really ours? Like, I've said a lot of cool shit, but I've never heard it before until I said it. So it's come from somewhere and it's not necessarily mine just because it serves a conduit in that point doesn't mean stuff. And it's usually a combination of different things that I've heard before or listened to before or, you know, pieced together based on other people's body of work.
That's really interesting because I really vibe with that. Like, even in the case, Mozart said, I never composed a note, I just listened to God. And it's a case of, especially with these creative endeavors as well, like when I'm writing, like I feel, this is my belief with it, I'm just a conduit. Like it's just coming through me.
Yeah.
It's not mine. And like, what are ideas?
Yeah.
I find that incredibly fascinating.
I mean, you know, people spend a lot of time putting their ideas into a book so that people can read them. And then they get annoyed when someone copies them. Like, why? Why do we have that inside us? And it's probably a human trait because we all feel some sort of scarcity at some point, and it's probably inbuilt into us in a lot of ways. So just being aware that, you know, we are so privileged to be in this abundant situation. Very few of us are in this situation. And then kind of understanding that everything is ready to give away, because you could have the best idea and if no one knows about it, what's the point? So information, to answer your question, I feel like people are like information. There were these different ages, right? The industrial age came and changed a lot of things. And this is only like this century. This is only like 100 years. This is not a long time. 120 years, maybe, I'd say. But I'd say 100 years, actually. 20, like the 1920s, maybe. And we're now in 2023. So 100 years. Industrial revolution came along, changed a lot of the things that we did, right? However we did things, it changed big time, massively, that. And then based on that industry and the mechanical components of those industry, then the information age got put on top of that. And then we had so much access to information, we could learn anything we wanted. We just had to find the right thing to consume, because then time became an issue. It's like, oh, there's so much information. Do I waste my time spending it on this podcast, on this YouTube video, on this Netflix series? That's what people ask, like, what should I consume? Like, where should I spend my time? And now, on top of those ages, we have the intelligence age, which was only made possible because of those two foundations and the foundations before that, because, the biggest advancement in human evolution has been our ability to speak or use language and convey ideas and pass ideas down generations. That was the biggest jump, right, when we could communicate. And I feel like if we just sort of step back and see that for what it is, then this is an intelligent age. So there's a great quote, actually, in a movie, in the Avengers. Of course, I've got to quote philosophy. But Iron Man says, an intelligence organization that fears intelligence. That's a bit weird, because they found out all these secrets of what, these weapons were going to be used for. And he had that line, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. If we want to be an intelligent society, should we fear intelligence? Is that the right response necessarily? I mean, okay, it comes naturally to us, but should we kind of stop and think about maybe that's just a normal human reaction, and we can step back and go, wait, this is intelligence. If we fear it, it's going to be based on fear. That's like raising a kid with fear, right? It's like Superman landing in any household.
Yeah.
What if he landed in a household where Papa and Mama, Clark Kent or Kent, told him that the only thing that he needed to know was to get as much money as possible? What if those were the values taught to Superman? It would have been a very different story. And that's what's happening right now.
I want to jump in and say thank you for listening and supporting the show, as at the moment we don't run any ads on the show. And if you're getting value, if you're loving the show, then I invite you right now to share this episode. Share this directly to a friend or share it on your socials. And when you do share it on social, please tag me so I can personally say thank you to you, as it means a huge deal to me, as this show is about us coming together as a community to help each other grow, as I really do believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. So take a screenshot, grab the link and share it with a friend that you think could get value out of this together. It will put a huge smile on my face, and I very much appreciate it. I want you to expand on this because you've shared with me before, and I find this really profound. And I think especially when it comes to like maybe quelling some of the fears people have when it comes to this, because there is an unknownness to it. A lot of people are jumping to and I think it's rightly so, but they jump to the doom and gloom aspect as to what could come to fruition with artificial intelligence, and are we going to get wiped off the face of the planet because of X, Y, and Z reason. But when it comes to the analogy of like a parent teaching a child and the values behind it, where AI is actually going to learn those values, I'd love to really unpack that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know how. I mean, intelligence is very different from search and information. I mean, we started talking about information at the start of this conversation, And what intelligence is it takes all that information, and through deep learning and machine learning, it creates new information based on that. So it's intelligent in the sense that it can make connections just like our human brains can make connections. So it is learning from us. It is right now like a child, and it's learning how to behave on this planet. So we are actually teaching it. It's just a different form of intelligence. We are a carbon-based intelligence form that has evolved, and we've evolved to a point where we've created a silicon-based intelligent form, and a lot of the functions are already smarter than us in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that is, take facial recognition. It is faster than us and better than us. It's quicker than us. A lot of the functions like speed cameras and things on the road, train routes, however you want to say that. A lot of those probability statistics, a lot of the functionality behind a lot of things we take for granted today, including mobile service, right? For a mobile call to go through from me to you, it has to be patched through a series of networks that go up to a tower and then come back down. All that requires technology, right? All that requires intelligence. And usually that intelligence was put in by us. And we said, okay, based on our intelligence, these are the things you don't stray from. But with artificial intelligence and machine learning, it is learning. It's like a kid. When you have kids, when you teach them something, it's not only, they don't only learn that. Based on their experience and their type of personality, they learn other things based on that information. That is what's happening right now with machines.
Does this parlay over to what some people are calling the alignment problem when it comes to AI? And obviously, what does that mean to us ultimately?
The singularity.
Yeah.
They're talking about, I think what we feel, because we've been the most intelligent species and we've trampled over all the others to get our way in, with whatever our arguments are, we feel, okay, now if there's a new intelligent species, it's going to do the same thing. And it probably will, if that's our intent and that's the way we go about sort of teaching it. This is the way we're going to use it. So it'll learn from us. Sorry, I lost the question.
Yeah, it's really good. So let's go from alignment to alignment with us and our business, and using this tool that we now have as well. What do you think are the questions or perspectives that entrepreneurs aren't looking or using when it comes to applying this intelligence into business?
Or the basic principles. I feel like we have no intention usually when we start off our businesses, or we don't really go in with any intention. We kind of get taken by the waves and wake up expecting something new to happen and kind of dealing with that problem. And we say, we're firefighting in our business. It's normal speak, right? But then going in with intention, and then once you get to a certain point, the biggest jump for an entrepreneur is going from solopreneur to team, and delegating to team.
Right.
And I think those two elements at the very basic level are things that we need to get better at, because if we don't go in with the right intention and we do not know how to delegate to AI with that intention, we're not going to get the answers we want, and we're not going to use it in the right way. And that goes with any sort of resource, whether it's human or art or machine right now, right? And I think those basic principles are still alive and well.
You have so many geniuses, Ronsley, and I love you for all of them. One of them, and something I've wanted to be able to pick up as much as possible and continue to master, is the articulation and use of logic. And so what I pick up from what you just saying here, and what I probably want to nail home a little bit further for the listener and the viewer, is a case of, are you very clear on what it is that you want? What is the exact outcome that you want? And are you able to articulate the constraints or what's needed to be able to then get to that end outcome? So a prompt for me is essentially an articulation of what is needed to get to this end outcome. So number one, if I don't know the exact end outcome at the end of the day, well then how the hell am I supposed to articulate anything? Because that's not possible. But then I need to be able to actually communicate in the right way. So one great example of this is my fascination, let's say with Midjourney, because to create an image, to create a graphic, to create this piece of art, there is so many elements that I need to be able, like, for me to be able to, let's say, speak to, okay, I want to be able to create a piece of art about like a plant. Well, then how do I describe the elements? I can't just say, give me a green plant, because it could give me an infinite amount of different possibilities of what that would look like. And so for me, it's been really interesting being able to get really clear on how I articulate, because, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but then leadership to a human being, not silicon-based, but leadership to a carbon-based person is then going to be, well, how do I articulate and get the message across for this person to know the end goal of where I want to move this business to and what is going to be a win for that person?
Yeah, great question.
Hola, I want to say a big thank you, muchas gracias, for listening to the show. Now, really quickly, this show is growing and it's all thanks to the ratings and reviews. So really quickly, I want to ask, if you have not left a review for the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else that you listen, take the 30 seconds, please click on over, leave a review, as I really want to hear from you. And I want to know what is the best thing so I can cover in future episodes, what guests to bring in, what questions can I answer for you, what is it that you're getting out of being a part of this show as well. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this show's success. Thank you so much for clicking over, leaving a review. Now let's get back to the episode.
I love that question on so many levels, because I've never really thought about it before, but when you're asking the question, I'm thinking about it and I'm going, it's again comes back down to basic principle. In leadership, when you're leading a silicon-based or a carbon-based resource, I suppose, in your business.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah. You don't bullshit it. You start off saying, this is the amount of information I have. Can we brainstorm based on this information? Can we brainstorm what the end is going to look like? Then we have the end. Yeah. And then based on the end, then we can again collaborate. So it's all on collaboration. It's always been that. It's just that different versions of leadership has been sold to us, right? And now we know better. So we know that leadership doesn't work from the top down, do as I'm telling you. And that's the same thing we are asking business owners to apply to artificial intelligence, use empathy, and we're going, whoa, if you use it this way, then we have enough proof that we are empathetic beings. So be empathetic to us when you do get to a point where you are free and loose on the world. Because think about it.
Made some dots joining in my head then. That was really good.
Yeah, like which ones?
Like, it's just our ability to lead a person or to lead machine learning is so similar. And I can see now why someone that is maybe lacking leadership skills or the ability to lead a team to then have a company grow the right way can very much be transferred into them not being able to use artificial intelligence properly to be able to use in the side of their business as well.
Well, any tool becomes
a useful thing.
Yeah.
So you say it for me. Literally yesterday, I completed the whole 10 concepts, 10 prompts email series. So, okay, side tangent. Ronzi and I have created AI Geeks together, and a part of level 1, completely free. I just finished it yesterday as well, so it'll be coming together, is a case of 10 concepts and 10 prompts for you to be able to use in your business straight away. Going through that entire process, like word for word, going back through that yesterday, was really interesting for me to kind of like bring it all together and be like, oh, like it was just like another kind of like run through for me to then be able to go, oh, I can see how if someone's not truly understanding the concepts, but then not understanding how to properly use the prompts and that articulation of what's needed from that concept, you're never going to get the result that you want.
No.
Whether it's a person or a machine.
And we found that out the long way around, because what happened was we first created the level 2 course, where we were showing we have that where there were 30 lessons, and each lesson taught them how to delegate an element of their business to artificial intelligence. Yeah. But they were going through that whole thing, not understanding the basics and the concepts that it is built on. So yes, they could do those 30 things, but that's where their intelligence stopped. So what if we could build that on a foundation? And that's what level 1 is the foundation, so that when you do level 2 and the level 3, then you can start thinking for yourself and being intelligent for yourself, and then using intelligence or artificial intelligence as augmented intelligence. And that's really as well what I've done with my team in the Philippines. Any weakness that, you go in thinking, okay, I'm building a whole team in the Philippines. There's a bunch of weaknesses that come with the location, with the language, with the people, with their culture as well. And I've augmented all that and given them superpowers with AI, and they're just more confident than I've ever seen them, actually, which is quite interesting to watch. So
I heard someone say, and I'd love to know what you think, but a lot of people are freaking out. Oh my God, what's AI going to do with business? People are going to lose their jobs because of this. And yes, I think that definitely is the case. But someone was like, people aren't going to lose their jobs to AI. People are going to lose their jobs to people that are using AI. Mm-hmm. So where it was 10 people before to get this allotment done, it could now take one person with the assistance of AI to be able to get that allotment done.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And there'll be a lot more jobs created as well. It's happened at every industrial age, information age. We're worried about jobs, and then it created more jobs for different things to happen. The one person digging the road then became 5 or 10 people to use the machine and get the tar and all that kind of stuff. So it's all perspective, and I think from this conversation, if I'm getting anything, which I am getting a lot out of it, is how much we are narrow-sighted in how we look at different things, and how our normal reaction to everything is this one of fear. But yes, artificial intelligence, I've said this a few times, you've heard me say this, it'll easily be the biggest conversation of our lifetime. It is going to change everything. It's going to change. It's already changed a lot of things in the few months that it's been public. It has got the fastest adoption rate. There are things that we're learning about, things we've believed for a long time to not be true based on the intelligence, because it can do things faster, more accurately, and with a lot of memory. Like, it got access to a lot of information to make those connections, which we just physically cannot make. We just can't make them. So where is that going? I feel like you got to look at it from the perspective of, I can get superpowers. What superpowers do I need to get? Wherever you're at in business, right? If you are at a point where you're just making $1,000 a month, or you have just started, or you're not making anything and trying to get your first client in, or you're making 10K, or you're making 20K a month. It doesn't really matter. You've come across a certain block that has not taken you past that level. You can now augment that with artificial intelligence. And that's how I'd love everyone to see it. And that's how I think, geeks are going to inherit the earth, right? So, and that's the reason for AI geeks. It's like, if you can understand those basic concepts, then we have a way to show you how to do that. Not only how to do that, but how to get it done and make sure that it gets done. So not only the steps to do it, but to actually execute on the steps.
What do you think, us as entrepreneurs, what do you think is the the shift in perspective that we should have to best be able to use this intelligence? Like, what do you think is stopping us from being able to really, truly grasp this tool and to be able to work with it?
It's just like having a child. You can have a kid and not be responsible for your actions, but you might be responsible for your teachings. You might say things like, don't do this or don't drink alcohol, but you drink every night. I'm just giving a bad example, but it's an example. The other example could be you are creating something where you're either telling them what to do or you're showing them how you would do it. And this is no different. So artificial intelligence is basically like, if you can exercise empathy, it's going to learn it. And that's really what we want. We got to be responsible. That's how we are responsible for this conversation, is that we've got to use it with empathy. We've got to change our perspective from, it's not about being left behind. Come with me because I can help you along. I have the superpower now. It's not about, I'm going to run fast, and if I take you with me, I'm going to go slow. No, I'm going to go fast. I'm going to take you with me, and I can go faster with you. It's a very different way of looking at the world. And I think now is the time. I mean, more and more, every day that I talk about this, I'm starting to believe it. I mean, I did believe it, but there's still this doubt. And that doubt, every time I'm having this conversation, gets smaller and smaller. Because it's true. It's so true. More and more, it is the only way forward.
What I really pick up from you, and this start with all of our conversation, and again, really with that answer, is that shift is really just a shift from scarcity to abundance. And if I truly come to this position, topic, question, opportunity with an abundance mindset, then so many things are able to open up, because I think far too much of it was resources were scarce. So therefore, if it was someone had something, it took away from my ability to have that, where that's just not the case anymore. And so therefore, it does change. And when you talk about empathy with AI in business, Ronsley, how do you best want people to pick that up? Like, how do you best want someone to understand how to use AI with empathy?
Well, it's the basics, in the sense that how would you want to be treated is how you hopefully treat other people, and also being more realistic about their situation, and this is just in general, like, being more considerate, being more thoughtful about the other person, because it's very easy for us to get on soapboxes or different spaces and criticize or not see the whole picture. And I think exercising anything with empathy is trying to go into a situation knowing that you don't know everything, right? And then you're still looking for perspective, and you're still trying to understand, and you're still trying to be open to learning more about the situation.
It's really funny when you say that, is when you were like, oh, like, let's do the AI Geeks podcast together, I had the most biggest fucking imposter syndrome ever. Like, what? I have zero clout, ability, worth to kind of like be on talking about this. And for me, it's been so great, because my fascination with this and trying to really look at it as holistic as possible and being able to learn and pick up what I can to be applied, it's just been incredible. It's been incredible. And I've loved this journey with you, Ronsley, and I'm so looking forward to every single step as we go further with this, because I do believe this is incredibly important. And I really want people to have more of an optimistic, open arms, this is a good thing, let's do this together, a rising tide lifts all ships scenario with it, because I really do believe this is the way forward, where if we're acting out of scarcity, if we're acting out of a fear base, or if even it's a case of like, oh, that's too hard, I don't want to go there, like, I'm not a techie person, or I'm not a geek, or any of that stuff. No, that's not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can start slow and we can build up, and there's like a tremendous ability to be able to actually use this for good.
You know, when you think about how we did not have access to any of this information a lot, you know, and there are still people around the planet who are fighting to make sure that girls in particular get education so that they can actually understand the world.
Yeah.
And if you look at us human beings as species, right? So we're the only species that when we pop out after 9 months, we need 12 years at least to understand how to operate on the planet. We're the only species that have made it so complicated for ourselves, you know? And I think to build on that, it's really important to kind of understand that we might have evolved intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually, we haven't really. And now is the time for us to do that. So it's a good opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
Again, I did not say or think of that.
That was really smart.
I did not think and say that before. So this is
I haven't heard you say that before.
From somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. I think that's really brilliant. I think you just opened up a can of worms I'm going to continue to delve down. Last question. What excites you the most about this right now? And especially kind of like, let's say, between the next 12 months, what's most exciting for you?
I feel like I've been in training for the last 40 years. And I feel now I get a chance to just go and play. Literally, you know, and you've heard me say play a lot, and it's just come out of me. It's not really something that I've consciously decided to use as a word. But I feel I have enough of the reps to understand how to make the motion. And I just go and play, and then something really cool comes out of it. And I'm as blown away as everyone else when I see it. And that awe is something that's really cool. So I'm excited about that for the next 12 months for sure.
That's really cool. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to it. I want to be able to have these conversations frequently to kind of like have these stepping stones and milestones as we go through this. But I would also love for you to be able to join us on the AI Geeks podcast, because that's where we get to literally unpack a problem. This is how we solve it with AI. And really, I don't know what I do there, but it's this guy that's the pure genius of it.
That's not it.
I have lots of fun with it.
Yeah. It's your business genius that is really important. And that's why AI Geeks is so important. It's the intersection of business acumen and artificial intelligence, or computer science and machine learning. So it's like not the geeks trying to teach you all the concepts and the theory, and it's not all the business owners who really don't know shit and are making stuff up. It's the combination of the two, and that's why AI Geeks, I think, is a really cool project, and I'm excited to be part of it with you, man.
I appreciate you too.
You too.
Ian, that was fun. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. I really, truly hope that you have enjoyed this. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so. And one of the best ways for you to be able to support the show is to leave a review and to be able to share it out on social. And as always, thank you so much. I feel privileged. I feel thankful. I feel grateful. I feel really blessed being able to do this and being able to have you join us as we figure this stuff out that we call life at the end of the day, and being able to do it with amazing conversations that we do here in this show together as well. So I'm wishing you an amazing day, and I'm really looking forward to us coming together in the next episode.